We begin tonight with a Fox News alert. Explosive new comments. Freshman Congresswoman Omar appears to blast former President Barack Obama, calling him a pretty face who, quote, got away with murder. She claims her words have been distorted. The reporter is standing by his word, but it is yet another firestorm coming from the freshman lawmaker after a week of headaches for the Democrats. And breaking tonight, actor Jussie Smollett indicted on 16 felony charges. Police claiming he faked a hate crime and brought shame on the Windy City. Our legal eagles are here to break down that indictment. And what in the world could put the ACLU and the Senate's top Republican on the same side? We'll tell you about a massive bill passed by House Democrats today that critics on the left and right are calling an unconstitutional overreach that could chill your free speech. Hello and welcome to Fox News at Night. I'm Shannon Bream in Washington. We've got Fox team coverage tonight on how progressives are shaking things up. Trace Gallagher on the sweeping election reform bill, but we begin with David Spunt and those explosive new comments from Congresswoman Omar against former President Barack Obama getting a lot of attention, David.
A lot of attention. Interesting story after a tense week on Capitol Hill between Democrats. Congresswoman Omar from Minnesota making headlines once again. Now she's accusing a Politico reporter of distorting her words in that interview. She even published audio of that interview. Omar came to Congress just 2 months ago. She's already ruffling feathers, many on her own side of the aisle. In the Politico interview, the reporter writes, quote, Omar says the hope and change offered by Barack Obama was a mirage, recalling the caging of kids at the U.S.-Mexico border and the droning of countries around the world on Obama's watch. She argues that the Democratic president operated within the same fundamentally broken framework as his Republican successor. Quote, we can't be only upset with Trump. His policies are bad, but many of the people who came before him also had really bad policies. They just were more polished than he was, Omar says, and that's not what we should be looking for anymore. We don't want anybody to get away with murder because they are polished. We want to recognize the actual policies that are behind the pretty face and smile. Omar took serious heat from Democrats for criticizing President Obama. She took to Twitter to complain about the Politico article. Omar tweeting, Exhibit A of how reporters distort words. I'm an Obama fan. I was saying how Trump is different from Obama and why we should focus on policy, not politics. This is why I always tape my interviews. Well, speaking of taping, here is some of what Omar said on the tape compared to the actual article.
His policies are bad, but many of the people who came before him also had really bad policies. They just were more polished than he was. And that's not what we should be looking for anymore. We don't want anybody to get away with murder because they are polished. We want to recognize the actual policies that are behind the pretty face and the smile.
That's the same wording from the article. Reporter Tim Alberta from Politico hit back on Twitter telling Omar, Exhibit A of how politicians use the media as a straw man to avoid owning what they said. Your tape supports what I wrote 100%, so does my longer tape. It's beyond dispute. Next time a phone call from your office before the Twitter ambush would be appreciated. Now, Politico published the interview today on day 5 of a particularly difficult week for Democrats on Capitol Hill. They unanimously passed an anti-hate bill in response to comments made by Omar that were labeled as anti-Semitic. Shannon, a senior Democratic House member, told Fox today, quote, all of our problems are being caused by free people.
Yeah, and those folks say that they are the ones who are being targeted. So this back and forth on the Hill will continue. David, thank you. All right, today, House Democrats